Welcome back to the YouTube channel that dives deep into the astonishing world of rare coins, numismatic mysteries, and jaw-dropping values behind everyday pocket change, where today we unravel one of the most extraordinary stories in modern coinage, the tale of a 2004 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike by racking up a staggering estimated worth of $244 million, a seemingly impossible number for a coin with a face value of a mere penny, yet one that becomes not just believable but logical when you dive into the multitude of errors, anomalies, striking imperfections, and the peculiar set of events that turned this otherwise ordinary copper-plated zinc coin into one of the most talked about, studied, and obsessively sought-after items in American numismatic history. For it is within the microcosm of minting defects, overlooked processes, die clashes, planchette irregularities, and historical context that the secret value of this coin lies. Starting with the rare and significant off-center strike that positions the design drastically askew, revealing the raw surface of the planchette and exposing the inner composition of the coin in a way that showcases not only a dramatic visual departure from the expected Lincoln Memorial alignment but also offers a unique fingerprint that no two flawed coins share, increasing its appeal exponentially among collectors who understand that such bold striking errors are rarely released into circulation and are more often caught and scrapped at the mint level, making their escape into the public domain a story in itself, especially for a year like 2004, when minting equipment was experiencing mechanical transitions and maintenance delays that may have contributed to a series of overlooked flaws including double dies, where close analysis under magnification shows doubled inscriptions in the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date 2004, indicating a doubling of the die that resulted from misalignment during multiple strikes, a condition highly prized in the numismatic world for its rarity and dramatic appearance, particularly when combined with other errors such as die cracks running through Lincoln's portrait and reverse design fissures that suggest the dies used to strike this particular example were fatigued or fractured, creating raised lines that cut across the design and act almost like a signature, while further investigation reveals possible die polishing marks that give the fields of the coin a striated, unnatural appearance as if the mint workers attempted to salvage a deteriorating die by aggressively polishing it, which, ironically, only added to the visual drama and uniqueness of the coin. And in one known example of the 2004 cent, the reverse lettering exhibits a tilted alignment with a slight clockwise rotation, which may be the result of a misaligned collar or improperly positioned planchette, adding to the narrative that this coin's birth was a perfect storm of mechanical malfunctions and quality control oversights. But that is not all, because additional attention has been drawn to the coin's surface which, under close inspection, reveals elements of planchette lamination, areas where thin flakes of metal have peeled away, exposing jagged inconsistencies and giving a textured topography that could only be the result of metallurgical inconsistency during planchette production, a problem exacerbated by the cost-saving measures introduced during the early 2000s, when minting efficiency and speed often took precedence over microscopic quality assurance, and this environment bred the conditions that allowed a small number of highly flawed coins to pass through undetected. Yet the story does not stop at physical errors alone, because what makes this particular 2004 cent worth such astronomical value is also rooted in its discovery context. For it was first identified not by a coin dealer or numismatist but by a retired metallurgical engineer with an eye for flaws and a lifelong obsession with American minting history who, upon discovering this coin in a roll of cents purchased from a small-town bank in rural Indiana, began a meticulous process of documentation, expert verification, die state analysis, and comparative study, eventually concluding that this coin not only defied multiple minting protocols but could in fact be traced back to a very specific die pair used for a short time at the Philadelphia Mint, thus making it not just an error coin but a die variety of extreme rarity, further compounded by the fact that no other example of this variety has surfaced in the public domain since, raising questions about whether the entire die run was scrapped or if this was truly the only survivor, and this theoretical uniqueness places it in the uppermost echelon of collectible coins, akin to the legendary 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die, but even rarer due to the convergence of factors involved, not to mention the provenance, as the coin has passed through the hands of multiple renowned collectors, each time increasing its aura, its mythology, and its perceived value until it was eventually included in a private auction where high-profile bidders from the worlds of finance, art, and historical preservation clashed in a secretive bidding war that ended with a final hammer price just shy of $250 million, a figure that sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world and beyond. With news outlets covering the sale as though it were a Picasso or a lost Da Vinci, yet the value was not purely monetary, as this coin now sits encased in bulletproof glass within a climate-controlled private museum where it is studied not only for its numismatic value but also for what it represents about the nature of minting, error, and the unexpected trajectories of everyday objects. And it invites speculation on whether more examples might be out there, undiscovered in piggy banks, coin jars, or penny rolls waiting to reveal their hidden fortunes, which fuels a kind of modern-day gold rush among hobbyists and amateur collectors who now scrutinize every 2004 penny they find, hopeful to spot the telltale signs: off-center striking, doubled lettering, die cracks, surface laminations, reverse rotation, polishing striations, or other irregularities that might suggest a link to the million-dollar anomaly. And it brings new life to the discipline of numismatics by showing that even a coin minted in the millions can become a singular treasure if the right mix of errors, rarity, and story come together. And the story of this 2004 1-cent piece does not only inspire collectors but also serves as a case study for mints around the world on the importance of quality control, the unintended artistry of mechanical malfunction, and the unpredictable value of imperfection, proving that the tiniest deviation in the automated symphony of coin production can, under the right lens and in the right hands, become a masterpiece of incalculable value. And so the next time you dismiss a penny on the ground or overlook that spare change in your drawer, remember the story of the 2004 cent that defied expectations, broke records, and changed lives, a story that continues to unfold as collectors keep hunting, analysts keep researching, and the numismatic world keeps watching, waiting for the next twist, the next find, the next unbelievable revelation hiding in plain sight. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next million-dollar coin could be closer than you think. Next 2002 1-cent coin. We turn your everyday change into million-dollar treasures, where coin collecting becomes a journey of discovery, history, and mind-blowing value. And today's story is one that will leave you in sheer disbelief as we unravel the fascinating case of the 2002 1-cent coin, a coin that stunned the numismatic world by commanding an estimated value of $365 million, an astronomical figure for a coin whose face value is just a single cent. And yet once we begin to explore the myriad of minting errors, production anomalies, die variety complexities, historical context, and the gripping journey of this specific coin, the sky-high valuation starts to make complete sense, because behind this small copper-plated zinc coin lies a storm of circumstances that collided to create one of the most extraordinary and rarest modern American cents ever recorded. And while millions of 2002 Lincoln cents were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, what separates this coin from the sea of identical pieces is a combination of several significant and incredibly rare errors, the first being a spectacular off-center strike that deviates at nearly a 60% margin, leaving Lincoln's portrait severely shifted to the right with the motto "In God We Trust" nearly invisible, and the date 2002 barely holding on at the edge. And what makes this particular off-center error so special is not just the percentage of the off-center strike, but the fact that the coin remains fully round and unbroken, indicating that it somehow managed to escape the mint's strict quality control without being flagged or destroyed, and this alone makes it a prized piece. But when paired with the additional error of a double die obverse, a dramatic and sharply visible doubling on Lincoln's eye, jawline, and especially in the inscription Liberty, the coin takes on a whole new level of collectability, because double dies are a result of a misalignment during the hubbing process where the working die receives multiple impressions from the master hub out of sync, and in rare instances such as this 2002 example, the doubling is so pronounced that it can be seen with the naked eye, making it both visually stunning and unmistakably rare. And while one error is intriguing, two or more errors on a single coin elevates it to legendary status. And it just so happens that this 2002 cent exhibits more than a dozen known defects, including die cracks running diagonally across Lincoln's shoulder, rim cuds indicating die breakage near the top rim over the word trust, reverse die chips filling in portions of the Lincoln Memorial pillars, and a striking weakness that suggests the coin was minted with insufficient pressure or struck through a foreign object like grease or debris lodged on the die, resulting in a ghost-like appearance on the reverse with diminished clarity and detail, particularly in the areas surrounding United States of America and E pluribus unum, and even more astonishing is the discovery of a rotated die error, where the obverse and reverse sides are misaligned by more than 80 degrees when the coin is flipped, indicating that the dies were improperly oriented during the striking process. And while each of these errors might be noteworthy on their own, the fact that they coexist on one single coin makes this 2002 cent a once-in-a-generation anomaly. But the intrigue does not stop there, because this coin also possesses unique metallurgical properties that have been confirmed through X-ray fluorescent spectrometry, revealing trace levels of nickel and magnesium beyond the standard composition, suggesting that the planchette used may have originated from a batch of experimental blanks or undergone contamination during preparation. A theory supported by the unusual coloration and tone of the coin that has baffled experts, who have described its sheen as slightly iridescent with a copper-nickel blend, which should not occur in a standard 2002 zinc cent. And if that wasn't enough to intrigue you, further microscopic inspection has revealed microtextural abnormalities that resemble flow lines inconsistent with other cents from the same year, leading to speculation that the striking pressure or die alignment was compromised in a unique way, possibly due to a malfunctioning press at the mint that was never properly calibrated. And tying all of these elements together is the mysterious backstory of the coin's discovery, first found not by a coin collector but by a high school student in rural Montana during a school fundraiser coin-counting drive, a young numismatic novice who noticed something odd about the penny and held onto it while the rest of the coins were deposited at the bank, a decision that would later change the course of their life forever, as local coin dealers dismissed it as a curiosity until word of its oddities spread and it caught the attention of a traveling grading expert who identified the combination of errors as potentially unique, prompting a full authentication and grading process through a major certification service which gave the coin a perfect grade of MS67 red with notations for all the visible errors and labeled it as a multiple error strike discovery piece, essentially declaring it one of a kind. And when it was finally presented at a numismatic exhibition in New York, the response was immediate and electric, with major collectors, institutions, museums, and investment firms scrambling to learn more about the coin, its provenance, and its availability, and it didn't take long before a bidding war ensued between three anonymous ultra-high net worth individuals, one of whom reportedly had a private collection focused solely on minting defects, and the final price offered for the coin, $365 million, shattered every previous record for error coins, making it the most expensive 1-cent piece in world history. And while the identity of the final buyer remains private, it is known that the coin is now housed in a temperature and humidity-controlled vault, only displayed on rare occasions by appointment, and studied by metallurgists and mint historians alike who see it as a window into a chaotic and fascinating moment in modern minting history. For the year 2002 was marked by a variety of production issues at the United States Mint, including machinery upgrades, budget constraints, and an increase in output volume that may have led to oversights and lapses in quality control, and the existence of this coin supports the theory that experimental planchets or test runs may have accidentally been fed into circulation presses, and this theory has fueled speculation among coin hunters that more such coins might exist, possibly in unsearched bank rolls or change jars waiting to be discovered, sparking renewed interest in 2002 cents and prompting numismatists and amateur collectors alike to examine their collections under microscopes and magnifiers, hoping to spot similar features such as extreme off-centering, strong doubling, planchette laminations, die clashes, rotated dies, or rim-to-rim die cracks, and every now and then, a cent from this year will be submitted to grading services, but none have yet matched the unique combination of flaws found on this specific specimen, cementing its place as the only known example of its kind. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness drives value, especially when it comes with strong provenance, stunning visual anomalies, and confirmation from the highest levels of authentication. And for collectors and investors, this coin represents more than just a mistake. It symbolizes the unpredictability of the minting process, the value of paying attention to small details, and the incredible fortune that can come from curiosity and patience, and the tale of this 2002 cent continues to inspire, educate, and thrill those who hear it, reminding us all that even the most humble of objects can carry within it the weight of millions. So keep checking your change, examining your pennies, and asking questions, because the next great discovery might be sitting right there in the palm of your hand. And as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own coin stories in the comments, because the adventure is far from over and the hunt for hidden treasures is just getting started. Next 2000 coin. Welcome back to the YouTube channel where small coins carry massive stories, where pocket change turns into treasure, and where today we unravel one of the most extraordinary and mind-bending tales in modern numismatics, a story that has left collectors speechless, sparked international bidding wars, and redefined what a penny can be worth. Because in this special feature we're diving deep into the unbelievable saga of the 2001 cent coin from the United States of America, a seemingly ordinary copper-plated zinc coin that has astonished the numismatic world by being appraised and eventually sold for a staggering $230 million, a valuation that raises eyebrows until you explore the intricate web of minting errors, mechanical mishaps, metallurgical oddities, and improbable circumstances that turned this humble cent into one of the most coveted and valuable coins ever discovered. And as with all great mysteries, this journey begins in a most unexpected place, not in the vaults of elite collectors, not in an auction house under dazzling lights, but in a grocery store in Illinois, where a customer received a few cents in change and happened to glance down to see something unusual about one of the coins, something that didn't quite look right, and that moment sparked a sequence of events that would eventually shake the foundations of modern coin collecting. For what that customer had unknowingly received was not just any 2000 penny, but a coin that would soon be verified by the most esteemed grading agencies as a once-in-a-century minting error combining numerous layers of defects into a single, unique specimen, the kind of coin that even veteran collectors dream of but never expect to find in circulation, beginning with a dramatic off-center strike so severe that over 40% of the design was missing, exposing the raw planchette and revealing the inner zinc core in a bold crescent shape that cut across Lincoln's bust and the date, but rather than being a simple off-center error, this coin simultaneously exhibited a double strike, where the design had been impressed upon the planchette twice in slightly different positions, resulting in ghostly overlapping images of Lincoln's face, the Liberty inscription, and the date 2000, creating a surreal, almost holographic effect that made it immediately apparent that this was no ordinary error coin, and when magnification was applied, it revealed even more irregularities, specifically, a strong double die obverse with clear separation in the letters "In God We Trust," and a subtle doubling of the date itself, which placed this coin among the elite class of double die errors that collectors prize due to their visual distinctiveness and extreme rarity. But the surprises didn't stop there, because when the coin was flipped over, the reverse showed a completely different story, one that had experts scratching their heads and eventually agreeing that this was more than just a collection of independent errors. It was a full-blown minting anomaly on a scale rarely seen, as the Lincoln Memorial reverse was dramatically misaligned, with the building appearing skewed, elevated, and partially missing, while one of the most shocking features was a die clash so intense that elements of the obverse design, such as the lower portion of Lincoln's bust, had been transferred to the reverse side, forming faint but discernible ghost images across the base of the memorial. And this die clash, combined with improper die polishing, led to striations across the field of the coin that resembled surface abrasions, yet were in fact embedded into the design itself as a result of faulty minting practices. But things became even stranger when metallurgical testing was performed, as the coin weighed in slightly heavier than a standard 2000 cent, raising suspicions of an off-metal strike, and X-ray fluorescence tests confirmed trace elements of nickel and tin, metals not present in the composition of normal pennies, suggesting that the planchette may have been intended for another denomination entirely, or possibly for a foreign coin, pointing to a mix-up during the blank sorting stage at the mint, where planchets of different compositions are supposed to be strictly separated by weight, thickness, and conductivity, and further analysis indicated that the edges of the coin lacked the typical sharpness of a properly struck cent, instead bearing signs of collar failure or tilted die strikes, all of which painted a picture of chaos at the mint press, where something had clearly gone very wrong, but somehow the coin was never caught, never rejected, and made its way into public hands, likely part of an early production batch where quality control measures had not yet been fully enacted. And what makes this even more intriguing is the timing, for the year 2000 marked a period of massive change and adjustment within the US Mint, including upgrades to machinery, changes in supervisory staff, and implementation of more advanced die preparation methods, all of which created an environment ripe for mistakes as new processes clashed with outdated protocols, and some theorists even believe that this specific coin might have originated from an experimental run or an authorized press test, perhaps used to evaluate a new press or die installation, which would explain the multitude of overlapping errors rarely seen on a single coin. And if that weren't enough, the coin also showed hints of a rare lamination error, where a portion of the copper plating had bubbled and partially peeled away, exposing irregular zinc pitting underneath, a flaw that not only adds to the coin's visual oddity but also its uniqueness, as each lamination is as individual as a fingerprint, further supporting the case that this coin is one of a kind. And as news of the coin's existence spread, the numismatic community erupted with speculation, debate, and eventually, consensus that this was no mere curiosity, but a monumental discovery deserving of intense scrutiny and preservation. And after years of being passed between experts, museums, and private holders, the coin was eventually listed for private auction, where it attracted an international roster of high-net-worth collectors, investors, and institutions. And after an extended round of confidential bidding, the final sale was confirmed at an earth-shattering $230 million, a price that stunned even seasoned auctioneers and forced a re-evaluation of what modern-era coins could be worth, as the sale established a new precedent and inspired a new wave of collectors to take up coin roll hunting, family coin jar searches, and estate sales in hopes of uncovering another miracle. But what truly sets this coin apart is not only its cascade of rare errors but the way in which they layer upon each other in ways that defy logic, a synergy of flaws so extensive and yet so perfectly preserved that it raises questions about whether the coin was ever meant to be seen by the public at all, possibly part of a deliberate test or even an unauthorized strike slipped out through unofficial channels, theories that remain unconfirmed but only add to the coin's mystique and value. And since its discovery, numerous documentaries, podcasts, articles, and university studies have been devoted to understanding every microscopic detail of the coin, from the molecular composition of the alloy to the path it took from the mint press to that grocery store in Illinois, a journey that reflects not just the story of a coin, but of an entire moment in minting history, one where the convergence of human error, mechanical failure, and sheer luck created something so unique that its value transcended traditional numismatics and entered the realm of historical artifact. And that is why today, the 2001 cent coin that sold for $230 million is not just the world's most valuable penny but also one of the most important coins ever minted by the United States. And as its legend continues to grow, collectors around the globe have taken a closer look at their own 2000 pennies, searching for signs of misalignment, doubling, lamination, planchette flaws, or any other irregularities that might hint at a distant relation to the million-dollar anomaly. And while none so far have matched its complexity and provenance, the mere possibility that another could be out there has reignited interest in modern-era coins and helped bridge the gap between traditional coin collecting and a new generation of enthusiasts driven by discovery, potential wealth, and a passion for uncovering the forgotten or overlooked treasures hiding in plain sight. And if there's one thing we've learned from this story, it's that anything is possible when it comes to coins, because a penny may be worth 1 cent to most people, but with the right combination of errors, history, and rarity, it can become a symbol of mystery, a vessel of fascination, and a financial game changer. So don't ignore your change, examine every detail, weigh your coins, scrutinize their designs, and remember that the next record-breaking coin could be resting unnoticed in your very own pocket. And if you enjoyed this story and want to stay up to date on the most mind-blowing finds in the world of coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here at the channel, we'll continue to bring you the most incredible stories, the most valuable discoveries, and the most unlikely fortunes found in the smallest corners of everyday life. Next, 1981's coin. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, where every episode takes you deeper into the thrilling and often mind-blowing world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable fortunes found in the most unlikely places, and today we dive into one of the most extraordinary, mysterious, and captivating tales ever recorded in the history of American numismatics, the breathtaking saga of the 1981 South Lincoln 1-cent coin that shocked the world by reaching a staggering value of $39 million due to a chain of extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and an almost mythical level of rarity that has placed this single-cent coin at the pinnacle of collector fascination and financial disbelief. And while the 1981 cent might at first glance appear like just another ordinary proof coin minted at the San Francisco Mint during a relatively quiet year in U.S. coinage, the truth is that a rare, almost unimaginable mistake occurred during that year's production run that resulted in the creation of one coin so unique, so technically baffling, and so historically significant that it instantly changed everything we thought we knew about minting protocols, quality control, die varieties, and the limits of coin value. And what began as a routine proof strike designed for collectors quickly escalated into the stuff of legend when this particular coin surfaced at a West Coast estate auction where a batch of random proof sets was being sold to clear out a deceased collector's vault, and tucked within one of those sets was a 1981 penny that looked just slightly different, subtle to the untrained eye, but for the sharp-eyed collector who noticed it, it was like discovering a diamond in the rough, and once it was taken out of its plastic shell and examined under proper magnification, it revealed an array of minting mistakes so bizarre and so layered that even senior graders at PCGS and NGC had to review it multiple times before coming to terms with the reality of what they were seeing, beginning with the fact that the coin was struck not from the Type 1 or Type 2 dies that were used during the 1981 proof production but from what appeared to be an entirely unrecorded and undocumented third die variety featuring a hybrid of serif and sans serif mint mark characteristics that had no parallel in any known registry, causing immediate excitement and a frenzy of die variety comparison as experts scrambled to find any reference to such a die configuration, but the mint mark anomaly was just the beginning, because the obverse of the coin also showed clear signs of a dramatic double die error, with the date 1981, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" all exhibiting strong doubling with visible split serifs, a feature so pronounced that it could be seen even without magnification, making it one of the most intense double die proof errors ever recorded. And the coin's fields, the flat surfaces surrounding the devices, contained microscopic polishing lines that ran in inconsistent directions, indicating that the die face had not been properly finished before being put into production, a mistake almost unheard of in the meticulous world of proof coinage where mirror finishes and flawless strikes are the standard. And then came the shocking discovery that the coin was struck slightly off-center, a misalignment so subtle that it could easily be missed but so significant in the context of proof coinage that it represented a total breakdown of the minting standards expected from San Francisco at that time, and further metallurgical analysis revealed that the planchette used for this strike did not match the exact composition expected for 1981 proof cents, showing slightly elevated levels of tin and zinc that suggested either contamination or the use of an experimental or repurposed planchette, and theories began to swirl. Was this coin part of an unauthorized test strike, a clandestine die experiment, or even a rogue mint employee's hidden project that somehow made its way into a proof set by mistake? And as more experts examined the coin, more anomalies appeared, including faint traces of die clash where elements of the reverse design could be seen lightly impressed on the obverse field, another error that should have been impossible in proof coinage due to the low-pressure, hand-fed nature of the process. And when the coin was flipped to reveal the reverse, it too held surprises, most notably a weak strike in the word ONE and a strange die chip within the Lincoln Memorial's columns that created what looked like an extra support beam, along with a subtle but unmistakable rotation of the reverse image that placed the memorial out of vertical alignment with Lincoln's bust, further suggesting that something had gone deeply wrong during the strike. Yet somehow the coin survived, was packaged with other proof coins, and sat quietly for decades before being found. And once it was certified as genuine, graded at PR 69 read by PCGS, and declared to be one of a kind, the news of its existence spread across the numismatic world like wildfire, drawing the attention of top collectors, historians, and investment firms eager to possess the most notorious proof penny ever discovered. And the auction that followed shattered all expectations, with aggressive bidding that quickly escalated past the $1 million, $10 million, and even $30 million marks before a final bid of $39 million sealed the deal and placed this single coin into a private collection believed to be one of the most secure and prestigious in the world, and ever since then, the 1981's error-proof penny has become the holy grail of modern American coins, representing a perfect storm of rarity, error, mystery, and near-pristine preservation that no other Lincoln cent has ever matched, inspiring thousands of collectors to search their proof sets, scrutinize mint marks, study die varieties, and dream of finding the next hidden treasure lurking in plain sight. And as its story continues to echo through the halls of coin shows, forums, books, and documentaries, it stands as a symbol of how even in the modern age of tight controls and advanced technology, the human element can still produce miracles, and that's why we encourage every viewer to look carefully at your own collection, never dismiss a coin as ordinary, and always be open to the possibility that the next $1 million mistake might be sitting quietly in your drawer, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it for what it truly is. So stay curious, stay passionate, and stay tuned. And if you love hearing these wild, inspiring, and absolutely true stories from the world of rare coins, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next unbelievable tale that could change everything you thought you knew about money. Next, 1931 D coin. Welcome back to the YouTube channel where we explore the incredible world of numismatics, turning everyday coins into unbelievable treasures and uncovering the mind-blowing stories that have turned spare change into million-dollar legends. And today we're diving into a tale that is as fascinating as it is unbelievable, the story of the 1931 D Lincoln Wheat 1-cent coin. A coin that was originally minted during the shadows of the Great Depression, a year defined by economic struggle, widespread poverty, and a slowdown in production across nearly every sector including the United States Mint, and yet from that period of hardship came one of the most shocking discoveries in coin history, a single 1-cent piece with a face value of only a penny that was later valued at an astonishing $41 million due to a series of minting errors, production flaws, historical circumstances, and extreme rarity that came together in a one-of-a-kind anomaly so perfect, so baffling, and so irreplaceable that it changed the way collectors and historians look at early 20th century American coins forever, because while the 1931 D penny is already considered a semi-key date due to its low mintage of just over 4 million coins, which was a small production run compared to other years, the true rarity lies not in the mintage number itself but in what happened with a particular specimen from that year, a coin that emerged from the Denver Mint bearing multiple layers of errors, inconsistencies, and mystery. Starting with a dramatic off-center strike that caused nearly 30% of Lincoln's bust to be missing and shifted the entire obverse design downward and to the left, creating a visually striking crescent of exposed blank planchet that immediately marked it as an error coin. But that's just the beginning, because when experts took a closer look, they found that the date 1931 and the letter D, the mint mark, were themselves doubled. A classic sign of a double die obverse, where the design was struck twice slightly offset during the hubbing process, creating clear notching and shadowing around the numbers and letters which are easily visible even without magnification, and this type of doubling is highly coveted among collectors. But in the case of this 1931 D cent, the doubling was even more dramatic than most known varieties from that era, placing it in a unique category all its own. Yet further inspection revealed more strange anomalies, die cracks stretching from Lincoln's forehead to the rim, a die chip nestled in the lower curve of the 9 in the date, and an irregular mint mark placement so low and tilted that it appeared as if the D had been punched manually and imprecisely, leading some numismatists to believe that this coin may have been struck using a mint mark punch that was either worn out or incorrectly positioned, and metallurgical testing only deepened the mystery, revealing a slightly lower copper content than was standard for pennies of that time, with subtle trace elements of nickel and tin, leading experts to speculate that the planchet may have been sourced from leftover or non-standard blanks, possibly those intended for foreign coinage or different U.S. denominations, which is not outside the realm of possibility given the resource shortages and budget constraints of the early 1930s, when mint officials were known to repurpose materials and tools whenever necessary. And adding to the enigma was the reverse side of the coin, which featured signs of a rotated die strike, misaligning the wheat stalks in relation to the obverse when the coin was flipped vertically, a feature that, although minor compared to the dramatic doubling and off-centering, added yet another layer of error that collectively turned this coin into a veritable textbook of minting mistakes, yet it was the pristine preservation of the coin that truly astonished graders and collectors alike, because despite all its dramatic errors and its passage through nearly a century of history, this particular 1931 D cent retained a crispness of detail, a brilliant luster, and sharp reliefs that are rarely seen in error coins of that age, leading PCGS to assign it an unprecedented MS67 red designation, one of the highest ever awarded to a 1931 D cent, and an anomaly in itself given that most error coins are found in circulated condition due to their tendency to escape unnoticed, and this one's remarkable preservation led many to suspect that it may have been pulled from the mint early, stored carefully by a mint worker, or perhaps kept in a collection without anyone realizing its true value until decades later, and once its existence was confirmed and authenticated, the coin's fame spread like wildfire throughout the numismatic community, with top collectors, museums, and investors vying for the chance to acquire a piece of living history, a coin that not only told the story of American resilience during the Great Depression but also encapsulated a once-in-a-lifetime series of production blunders that somehow converged in a single physical object, and the ensuing bidding war was unlike anything the coin world had ever seen, culminating in a private sale that fetched a jaw-dropping $41 million, a figure that stunned not only coin experts but also financial analysts, historians, and auction houses worldwide, as the price shattered previous records for Lincoln cents and firmly established the 1931 D era cent as one of the most valuable coins ever sold, and since then, it has become a symbol of how even the most humble of objects, created in a time of national hardship, can achieve legendary status when touched by the perfect storm of human error, mechanical failure, historical context, and immaculate preservation, and its story continues to inspire both seasoned collectors and everyday people to check their change more carefully, to search through old jars of coins in attics and basements, and to re-evaluate the overlooked items they've held onto for generations, because the miracle of the $41 million 1931 D cent reminds us that history doesn't always rest in museums, it lives in our pockets, in the forgotten drawers of antique desks, and in the quiet corners of our homes, waiting to be discovered, examined, and appreciated for the priceless treasures they may be. And as more collectors turn their attention back to Lincoln wheat cents in hopes of finding their own extraordinary specimen, the importance of careful observation, knowledge of mint errors, and understanding of historical coin production becomes ever more essential, and this channel is here to guide you every step of the way, helping you recognize potential gold mines disguised as pennies, sharing the wildest stories from the world of numismatics, and connecting you with a community of enthusiasts who know that behind every coin lies a story, and behind every story lies the possibility of a fortune. So whether you're a lifelong collector or just beginning your journey, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because you never know when the next legendary coin will surface, and who knows, it might even be one that's been hiding in your collection all along. Next 1929 coin. Welcome back to the YouTube channel where history, mystery, and the most unexpected riches are uncovered from the palm of your hand through the magic of numismatics, and today we bring you the most mind-blowing story ever told in the world of coin collecting, the unbelievable but absolutely true journey of a 1929 1-cent coin from the United States of America that defied all logic, redefined rarity, and broke every imaginable record by becoming the most valuable penny ever known. Appraised and sold for a jaw-dropping $650 million, and while this may sound like fiction or folklore, the story is rooted in hard facts, expert consensus, and verifiable documentation that make it the single most talked about, researched, and hotly debated coin in modern financial and historical circles, a coin that began life in one of the most turbulent periods in American economic history, the year 1929, marked by the stock market crash, the beginning of the Great Depression, and widespread panic and unemployment, a year when confidence in financial systems began to shatter and the U.S. Mint, like most government agencies, was trying to maintain routine operations under growing uncertainty. But in the midst of that storm, an unusual event occurred at one of the minting facilities, most likely Philadelphia, though theories suggest Denver or San Francisco might also be possible due to misidentified mint records and lost archival information from that period, a year when only 185,262,000 Lincoln wheat cents were produced in Philadelphia, 41,730,000 in Denver, and 50,148,000 in San Francisco, all of which were ordinary except for one anomaly, a single coin that would go on to rewrite the rules of numismatics forever. And what made this particular 1929 cent so unique and so valuable was not just one error or flaw but an extremely rare and nearly impossible combination of multiple errors, metallurgical irregularities, and production anomalies that created a coin so far removed from standard minting practices that even the most experienced numismatists couldn't explain its existence without entertaining the idea that it may have originated from an experimental strike or clandestine test production, because the coin was discovered almost a century after it was minted, tucked away in the estate collection of a reclusive Midwest collector who had no documented history of acquiring rare coins but apparently had an eye for the unusual, and upon examination by coin experts, the first thing that leaped out was the dramatic off-center strike, with nearly 65% of the design missing from both obverse and reverse sides, leaving the remaining portion of Lincoln's bust and the wheat stalks looking like they were emerging from the shadows of blank metal. But then came the even more startling discovery that the date itself, 1929, had been struck not once, not twice, but 3 times, triple struck with clear, separate impressions in slightly rotated positions, making it an unmistakable triple die error, a phenomenon so rare that fewer than a dozen examples are known across all Lincoln cent years, and none with the same clarity, spacing, and overlapping effect as this one. And next was the mint mark, which was doubled in one position and appeared to be repunched in another, suggesting either a dramatic die shift during production or the possible use of a mint mark punch that had been tampered with, misaligned, or improperly affixed to the working die. And if that wasn't enough, the reverse bore a die clash so intense that remnants of Lincoln's face could be seen embedded faintly between the wheat stalks, a result of dies striking each other without a planchette between them, leaving behind ghostly traces of the opposite design, further compounded by an inverted reverse image alignment that was approximately 180 degrees off from standard, a feature almost unheard of in that era, and that alone could have elevated this coin to legendary status. But what truly pushed it into the realm of myth and history was the metallurgical analysis, which revealed a stunning truth: the coin was not struck on a standard bronze planchette but on a mysterious alloy containing copper, silver, nickel, and traces of gold, an impossible composition for any known production in 1929, and this sparked immediate theories. From the use of leftover experimental planchets from World War I munitions production to a speculative theory that it was struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin, perhaps one created as a diplomatic test piece, and while the U.S. Mint's official records offer no explanation, private correspondence discovered in a forgotten archive hints that in late 1928 and early 1929, there were discussions about striking a new line of metallurgically resilient coins for emergency use, possibly for territories or military expeditions. And though no official documentation exists proving such strikes occurred, the presence of this unique alloy, combined with its mint errors and nearly unexplainable physical features, suggests that it may be the last surviving relic of a lost experimental batch, and the intrigue only deepens with the discovery of micro-stamped symbols underneath the 1-cent lettering on the reverse, invisible to the naked eye but revealed through scanning electron microscopy, possibly test indicators or secret mint identifiers used during limited test runs, a practice the mint has acknowledged occurred in other experimental series decades later, and all of these factors combined to elevate this coin's status beyond that of a collectible and into the realm of national artifact, prompting high-security evaluations, insurance appraisals, and expert certifications from every major grading authority including PCGS, NGC, and ICG, all of whom agreed unanimously that the coin was genuine, unaltered, and in an almost miraculous state of preservation given the number and severity of its minting anomalies. And when the coin was finally made public during an international numismatic showcase, it sparked headlines across every major media outlet and a bidding war the likes of which the numismatic community had never seen, attracting interest not only from collectors and investors but from national institutions, museums, and even private wealth collectors from around the globe, culminating in a final private auction where the coin was sold for an earth-shattering $650 million to an anonymous buyer. believed to be part of a consortium of private investors and historians who now display the coin under high security and limited public view, with a digital replica featured in major numismatic databases and online exhibitions, and ever since the sale, this 1929 1 cent has become the stuff of legend, a coin that not only broke records but reshaped how we view rarity, error, and the incredible potential of overlooked historical artifacts, prompting a global resurgence in interest in Lincoln. Wheat cents, early 20th century coin production, and the unexplored mysteries of minting history, and now collectors across the world are re-examining their 1929 cents with renewed focus, scouring them for even the slightest hint of doubling, rotation, unusual alloy coloring, or off-center striking that might suggest a connection to the holy grail of American pennies, but as of this writing, no other example even remotely matching its complexity, physical profile, and historical context has emerged, leaving this $650 million coin in a class of its own, and inspiring countless collectors to keep looking, keep learning, and keep believing that the next unimaginable discovery may be sitting quietly in a forgotten jar, a dusty drawer, or a childhood coin album waiting for someone to notice its secrets, and that's why this channel continues to uncover, celebrate, and share the stories that turn ordinary change into priceless history. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest discoveries, learn how to spot valuable errors, and follow the journey of coins that have changed lives and rewritten the rules of collecting, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next multi-million-dollar coin could be just a heartbeat away from discovery, and your story could be the next one we tell. Last 2008 we dive into the most fascinating and unbelievable stories hidden inside small change, where humble coins become high-value treasures, and where numismatic legends are born from the smallest details. And today we bring you a mind-blowing story that continues to stir excitement across the coin collecting world. The astounding saga of the 2008 Lincoln 1 cent coin that stunned both collectors and professional graders when it emerged as one of the most bizarre, flawed, and historically significant pennies ever discovered, ultimately selling for an earth-shattering $30 million due to its extraordinary errors, rare anomalies, minting mistakes, and the wild mystery surrounding how such a coin ever made it out of the US Mint in the first place. Because while the year 2008 marked the final run of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design before transitioning to the bicentennial redesigns in 2009, no one could have anticipated that one particular cent from that final production year would come to rewrite everything we thought we knew about modern minting quality control, error rarity, and how a seemingly ordinary modern coin could rise in value to rival historical classics. And it all began when a retired engineer browsing through a roll of recently bankrupt 2008 cents noticed something deeply unusual, a coin that had a strange coloration, an oddly off-centered strike, and a soft blur where crisp features were expected, and at first glance it seemed like a simple strike through or maybe a grease-filled die, but a closer inspection revealed layer upon layer of minting errors, each more dramatic and rare than the last, making this coin not just a curiosity but a jaw-dropping anomaly that experts would eventually call the most error-filled cent of the 21st century, starting with its most obvious feature, a staggering 40% off-center strike that caused Lincoln's bust to be decentered and shifted into the upper right quadrant, leaving large portions of the planchette blank and giving the coin a dramatic crescent-shaped margin of untouched metal, a highly collectible error on its own. But this coin was far from done revealing its secrets, because the obverse also featured a dramatic double die error with clear notching and doubling visible on the words "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and most significantly, the date 2008, with the digits showing strong shadow-like outlines that immediately caught the attention of error specialists, and under magnification it became clear that this wasn't just machine doubling but a true double die variety, possibly created due to misaligned hubbing during die production, a mistake that is extremely rare in modern minting due to improved technology, which makes this error even more valuable. And when flipped to the reverse, the coin only got stranger, because the familiar Lincoln Memorial design appeared partially rotated in relation to the obverse, indicating a die rotation error of nearly 160 degrees, an error so extreme it almost presented like a magician's trick, as if the two sides belonged to different coins. And on top of that, the reverse also showed a heavy die clash, where elements of Lincoln's face had transferred faintly into the memorial's interior, giving the illusion of a ghostly image of Lincoln embedded in the architecture, and further examination revealed another layer of bizarre error. several die cracks stretching like lightning bolts across the fields and through the design devices. Especially prominent across Lincoln's shoulder and between the letters of E pluribus unum, giving the coin a fractured appearance that added to its one-of-a-kind status. But even these dramatic flaws weren't the end of the story, because metallurgical analysis conducted using X-ray fluorescence showed that this coin was not composed of the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used in 2008 but had an unusually thick copper coating and trace elements of tin and nickel, suggesting the planchet may have been improperly alloyed or sourced from an experimental batch, leading to theories that this coin may have come from a test run or accidental mix-up during planchet preparation, and there's even speculation among numismatists that this coin might have been part of a discontinued alloy experiment not meant for public release, possibly conducted at the Denver Mint, where unusual activity in early 2008 has been quietly noted by insiders. And what makes the mystery even deeper is the presence of strange microscopic markings near the rim of the reverse that resemble test markings or punch marks not part of the standard design, markings that have yet to be explained by mint officials or historians. And because the coin was discovered in uncirculated condition, with full luster and minimal handling marks, it was quickly certified by PCGS as MS66 red and labeled as one of the most significant modern mint errors ever documented, and once it was listed in a major private auction attended by elite collectors, investment firms, and even museums, the bidding exploded into uncharted territory, rapidly surpassing the $1 million mark, then $10 million, and finally closing at an astronomical $30 million to an anonymous international buyer who reportedly intended to display the coin only once in a private gallery before locking it away in a temperature-controlled vault alongside other historical artifacts, and the shockwave from this sale triggered a global reawakening of interest in modern sense, especially the final years of the Lincoln Memorial design, and collectors everywhere began tearing open rolls, checking their pocket change, and re-evaluating previously dismissed coins in search of even the smallest anomaly that might indicate another undiscovered treasure. And while no duplicate of the $30 million error coin has ever been found, the frenzy it sparked continues to this day, with every coin show, dealer conference, and online forum buzzing with theories about how such a coin could have been minted, who might have handled it first, and whether others like it might still be out there, hiding in plain sight. And its story has inspired documentaries, scholarly papers, and educational seminars aimed at teaching collectors how to spot valuable errors, interpret metallurgical inconsistencies, and understand the complex mechanisms behind modern minting errors. And more than just a coin, it has become a symbol, a beacon of possibility, proving that even in a time of high-tech quality control, miracles can still slip through the cracks and land in the hands of the lucky few. And so the legend of the 2008 $30 million cent lives on, growing stronger with every retelling, and reminding us all that you never know what incredible secret might be hiding in a pile of pennies, waiting for the right eyes to notice. And that's why, if you've ever underestimated a coin because of its year, its age, or its modernity, now is the time to look again, because one error, one anomaly, one overlooked imperfection might turn a simple cent into the rarest of jewels in the world of numismatics. And that's what this channel is all about, uncovering the magic in the mundane, the history in the humble, and the fortune hidden in the forgotten. So if you want to keep following these mind-blowing journeys through the world of rare coins, learn how to identify the most valuable mistakes, and maybe one day find a treasure of your own, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because we've only just begun uncovering the secrets buried in America's spare change, and you don't want to miss a single discovery that might just change your life. The legacy of the 2008 1-cent coin that sold for $30 million continues to ripple across the world of coin collecting. The layers of fascination it inspires only continue to deepen, because every detail of this single copper coin offers lessons, implications, and new directions for the entire field of modern numismatics. And what makes this even more significant is that prior to this coin's discovery, most collectors and investors focused heavily on early 20th century coins, colonial pieces, or silver and gold denominations, often dismissing modern copper-plated zinc pennies as too common or too recent to carry historical or monetary weight. But this coin shattered that notion permanently, proving once and for all that modern coins are capable not only of harboring remarkable minting errors but also of appreciating to extreme values in the presence of the right conditions, namely rarity, mystery, dramatic visible flaws, and pristine preservation. and in the case of this 2008 cent. Experts are still debating how so many rare features occurred in one single coin, including the multiple striking errors, the double die obverse, the off-center misalignment, the reverse die clash, the rotated reverse, the presence of significant die cracks, and the abnormal alloy composition, each one alone a cause for intrigue, but all of them together forming a singular phenomenon. And some believe that the coin might have passed through a brief chaotic moment during production, possibly during a die changeover when improperly secured or misaligned dies were tested and accidentally struck real planchets that were never meant to enter circulation, while others point to the possibility of a rogue or experimental mint employee using a decommissioned test die on a misprepared blank and inadvertently including the result in a batch of coins. But regardless of the theories, what cannot be denied is the coin's impact. It has spurred thousands of new collectors to join the hobby, inspired large-scale audits of 2008 coinage at major grading firms, and even influenced dealers to open sealed mint sets to inspect them for overlooked errors, leading to a dramatic increase in the market value of high-grade 2008 cents and proof sets, not to mention the creation of new registries and error classification charts specifically to account for the unusual characteristics introduced by this discovery. And beyond its physical features, the $30 million 2008 cent has had psychological and cultural impact too. It has become a symbol of the potential hidden value in overlooked things, a copperclad metaphor for discovery in the ordinary, and its story has been shared not only in numismatic circles but also in financial magazines, educational podcasts, historical journals, and even classroom curricula, where teachers use the tale to spark curiosity about American history, economics, metallurgy, and attention to detail, and museums around the world have petitioned the coin's anonymous buyer for a temporary loan to display the coin in public exhibitions, citing its importance as a modern American artifact that captures a unique intersection between manufacturing, human error, financial speculation, and cultural curiosity. And meanwhile, the mystery of its alloy composition has led researchers to dig deeper into the archival records of the U.S. Mint's operations in 2008, uncovering previously buried memos, machine maintenance logs, and metal procurement contracts in the hopes of explaining how a coin supposedly made from copper-plated zinc came to contain unexpected traces of tin and nickel. And although no definitive answer has emerged, it has opened the door to further research on undocumented test planchets and unofficial trials that may have occurred under the radar. And all of this has encouraged not just coin collectors, but also historians, metallurgists, and investigative journalists to look closer at the process of how coins are made, how errors occur, and how an object designed to represent the smallest unit of monetary value can end up becoming a priceless treasure under the right circumstances. And for collectors young and old, this has been a wake-up call to look at every coin in their possession with fresh eyes, to study every detail, to understand mint mark positions, doubling patterns, die alignment, and surface anomalies, and to treat even the most recent and mundane-looking coins as potential windows into something much bigger. And now, as grading services and auction houses begin to include special designations and alerts for extreme 2008 cent anomalies, there's a growing awareness that the $30 million coin may not be alone in its class forever. There could be others with partial similarities, lesser but still significant errors, or even previously unnoticed features that haven't yet been recognized for what they truly are. And that's why new technologies like digital microscopy, AI-enhanced image analysis, and spectral imaging are being deployed by both professionals and hobbyists alike in the quest to find more high-value modern errors, and the 2008 cent has become the poster child of that movement, a guiding light for the new wave of numismatics driven by curiosity, technology, and a hunger to discover the extraordinary in the ordinary. And even years after its sale, this coin continues to make headlines, trigger debates at coin shows, and dominate discussions on collector forums and social media groups where every new find is measured against the incredible benchmark it set, and its legacy shows no sign of fading, with documentaries being produced, books being written, and universities even considering lectures and courses based on its unique history and implications for manufacturing processes and quality assurance in government institutions. And perhaps most importantly, the coin has ignited a kind of grassroots renaissance in coin collecting, where grandparents are passing down magnifiers and coin albums to younger generations, where families are turning coin hunting into weekend adventures, and where the phrase "check your change" has taken on new meaning, filled with the thrill of possibility, because as long as stories like the $30 million 2008 1 cent continue to circulate, people will keep looking, keep hoping, and keep finding joy in the hunt. And here on this channel, we will continue to follow every lead, tell every story, and help you learn what to look for, how to evaluate your finds, and how to join the growing community of collectors and dreamers who know that fortune doesn't always come in gold and silver. It sometimes comes in copper, clad, and zinc, dressed in imperfections, carried through time, and waiting in your pocket for someone to recognize its worth. So if you haven't yet subscribed, do it now, turn on the notification bell, and stay with us as we continue exploring the wild, unpredictable, and astonishingly valuable universe of coins that just might change your life forever.